Welcome, everyone. We're very happy to have you on this Head of Track info webinar this morning. And we're very happy to hear about your experiences and anything that you might want to share with fellow YFU volunteers about what it is like to be in this role, what it is like to be part of the YES, and maybe hear some tips that you might have about this specific position. My name is Maz, and I am the education team leader for YES 2022. And here with us is also my partner in crime, Abril.
Hi everyone, I am Abril from YFU Argentina. This time I'm taking the role as Junior Educational Activities Leader with Marta.
Amazing. We're very happy to have you on this call, Abril. And to just give you a brief overview of how this call is going to go, we'll introduce the YES itself a little bit, and what is the theme of this year's event. And then we will go back to former heads of tracks to hear about their experiences. But first and foremost, I would like to give the floor to Andrea, who is the project coordinator for this amazing event and has been doing it for years, to tell us a little bit about what's coming up and share a little bit of a personal input regarding the YES 2022. Welcome, Andrea. We're happy to have you here.
Thank you so much, Maz. I'm very happy to share what I've learned so far, what is expecting us this year. I am, as Maz said, the project coordinator. I'm here to support basically the team of amazing volunteers that make possible this event. I am here from the part of the global office. And yes, I wanted to share a bit of the logistical details first. Maybe to have everybody on the same page, the YES will happen from the 27th of June till the 1st of July. So book that date in your calendars in case you are interested. The theme of the event will be Claim Your Digital Space. So we really want to go into this maybe newer topic for YFU. So we encourage everybody who is remotely or even more interested in this topic to join us. We really want to explore and bring the best to our students. I think this is from my side. I'm sure we will have a more informal discussion after we all introduce ourselves and exchange the best experiences we had there.
Sure thing. Thank you very much, Andrea. One question that I wanted to ask you is, why is this year's YES special? Why are we specifically excited about this one?
Well, for the past 2 years, the YES has been happening online due to the reason that everybody knows. So we are very excited to bring it back to Weberlinse, close to Berlin this year. This has been our heart location. We've been there for, I think, over 20 years. And yes, being there, it's very exciting for all of us.
And one more question for you. The theme of the YES 2022 is Claim Your Digital Space. What does that mean, and what can volunteers who consider signing up expect from this theme?
Yes, so as I mentioned before, this is a very relevant topic for all of us. We see how the digital space claims more and more time into our daily lives. We hear every day that there are dangers in the background that we might not be well aware of. We maybe don't get enough education about it, so we want to bring peer-to-peer learning there. It is definitely in the power of the education team at the YES. So as you noticed, we set the theme quite large, not very specific, so that everybody can also bring their input. If you care a lot about digital privacy, this is something that you can elaborate at the YES. If you have a more interest into digital arts, that's also something we want to bring to our students, because we know they are very broad interests, and then we want to cover as many of them as we want. As long as it has anything to do with digitalization and it is educational, we want to hear about it. Tell us your idea, and maybe you will be able to lead a track and share it with the students at the YES.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Great. So let me give you a brief overview of what the head of track role actually is. You may know that the abbreviation is HOT, and that is what we use usually in our YFU jargon. So if you would like to become a HOT for YES 2022, this means taking up the position of the head of track. As the head of track, you will lead a team of 2 to 6 track leaders who are facilitators that design and implement the educational sessions for students at the YES within a chosen track. Usually we have between 3 to 4 different tracks, and what a track means is a specific theme, specific subtopic that we tackle during the event. And the track sessions happen once a day. It's usually Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and they last approximately 1.5 hours each. Within your track, as a HOT, you will propose your own vision for the activities and define the learning outcomes for the entire track. You will also ensure that the YES theme is present in all sessions, and that those sessions are well structured and interactive. Throughout the whole process, you will work closely with the education team leaders, so me and Avril, and help select the track leaders you will later on work with. You can expect to be involved in both preparation of the sessions and leading them during the event as well. And the preparations start soon, already several months before the YES, to ensure quality educational content during the event. So tracks, as I already mentioned a little bit, divide the YES participants into subgroups. And in those subgroups, they explore the main theme of the event from different angles. This year, we decided not to provide you with a specific set of tracks to choose from. Instead, we offer you, let's say, a library of ideas that we came up with that can inspire you. And of course, you can choose one of them or suggest your own track idea that fits under the general theme of claim your digital space. In your application, as a head of track, we would like to hear from you which topic you would like to work with and why you believe it is relevant to the main theme of the YES 2022. So to give you just a glimpse of different possible tracks that we can have during YES 2022, I will name just a few. For example, digital storytelling. So what is digital storytelling and how it can be implemented digitally? How can we use stories using digital tools? What stories are important to tell? See, this is a specific angle to approach our general theme of claiming your digital space. A track will also be digital privacy and safety, leadership or social change in the digital era. It could be digital media and news literacy. So this journalistic, news-related angle to our theme. It could be a track about creating and shaping and maintaining your personal identity online, or taking care of yourself and maintaining well-being in the digital era where we spend a lot of time in front of our screens. This is just a few options of what's coming up and what we can create together as a team for the event. But to give you a little bit more of an insight into what is the head of track role, how it works, we would love to hear from former heads of tracks. We would love them to share their experiences with you. So let me welcome to the stage Riikka from YFU Finland and Trine from YFU Estonia. come on up and welcome. We're happy to have you. Please tell us who you are, what you do, and when was the last time you took the position of head of track?
Hi, my name is Riikka. I am a volunteer for YFU Finland, and I was a head of track in both the virtual yeses that we've had. So that is 2020 and 2021. And my track was music and protest.
Hi everyone, my name is Trine. I come from YFU Estonia, and I have been a head of track for quite some years. Can't really remember when it all started, but I do have a shirt that says that I was definitely there in just 2018. So I guess then, yeah, and the topics I've had are art and also leadership and activism. So yeah, we've touched up on different topics with my teams, which has been very interesting journey.
Wonderful, thank you so much for that. So we've had a few specific tracks from past years mentioned. We had music and protest that happened 2 consecutive years during our virtual yeses, and were very popular among our students. We had activism, debate. So go a little bit more into the connection of the track and the head of track. A question we often hear from peers is about the level of expertise that is required to become a head of track. Could you share with us what is your experience here and what was your own connection with the track that you led? Riikka?
Well, I was lucky in the sense that I was able to decide my own track, which led to the creation of music and protest. It sprung from my personal interest in the area. So I love music, and in my free time, no, just kidding. I am a university master's student and I study politics and organizations. So bridging these and of course the themes of the 2 past yeses together, they really fit with the idea of music and protest. So I think for a head of track, what you really need is this willingness to choose your topic and then stick with it to create a great experience for the students and of course the volunteers that you work with, because you can't do everything by yourself. So in this sense, you need leadership skills for the team that you are heading, but also interest and knowledge of the theme itself, or at least willingness to learn and deepen your own knowledge of the topic and the current issues that surround it to create like an interesting combination package for the students. And of course, it can be challenging as well.
Great, thank you very much for sharing. And Trine, how was this for you? What was your connection to the different tracks that you have led so far?
Yeah, you reminded me that there was also debate that I forgot at first, but yeah, I can't say that I'm an expert in any of those fields. Similar to Riikka, I'm also I studied political psychology and political science and psychology. So I've really had nothing to do with art necessarily, but the topic itself has been always close to my heart. And when it comes to debate, I haven't been part of any big debate clubs, the mastermind behind it all. Not really. But I think as long as you are interested in the topic and will also trust your team, because they usually already choose you for a reason. You and your topic, whatever you have proposed. The track leaders are a brilliant minds that really you can trust, or also create the trust, of course, as a team leader. But yeah, coming up together as a team with the ideas or vision, I think is the key element.
Great, thank you so much. And you mentioned the whole aspect of working with a team of track leaders. So let us go a little bit into that. What has been your experience of working with track leaders who are usually volunteers from many different countries with different levels of experience in YFU and in the field that the track covers? So what has it been like? What has it been like to work with track leaders, and how did your collaboration look like? Let's go with Trine.
Yeah, I think when it comes to any teamwork, there are a couple of things that I always try to go through first with the team, such as understanding everybody's situation, where they come from, their background, how they prefer to work, what motivates them, what demotivates them, what are their needs to be the best version of themselves, and also what are their expectations for the rest of the group. So setting that common ground from the very beginning has led to honest communication. I'm not saying that it's always easy, and you know, with different time zones and the fact that we all have personal lives also happening and so on, it's not easy necessarily, but I think it's a great option to experience virtual leadership, because the work beforehand is before yes is done virtually, and yeah, in that sense it's a great learning moment.
Thank you so much for sharing this. And Riikka, how has it been for you?
I think it's so interesting to be part of the Yes, because it's a very much a global event, in the sense that even though, well, hopefully this year we get to meet together in Verbelinse, so be at the same venue at the same time, but it's in any case bringing together people, volunteers and students from so many countries. So intercultural communication is definitely a big learning point for everybody. It doesn't matter how good you are, you can always improve. And the second part is the virtual teamwork that Trine already mentioned before. It is sometimes quite challenging to make sure that the team of volunteers that might have somebody or a couple of somebodies from, let's say, South America, somebody from Europe, and then somebody living in Asia, for example, defining these meeting times and sort of establish good rapport between the people in the team. Because I do think that, and having good and open lines of communications is the key. So being able to say, sorry, I'm really busy at the moment, I can't do it now, but I will get it done next week. That sort of honest communication about your workload and your schedules, that's really the key of having a good team.
Thank you so much for sharing these tips. These are, I think, very important and useful, not only for heads of track, but in general for everyone working in the virtual environment right now. And we have a raised hand by Andrea. Come on up.
Yes, thank you. As I also had a question in mind right now, if I may ask it as well. So I'm curious, as a head of track, what was your time commitment? That's a question we get a lot from volunteers. So how much do they need to count on when they take this role?
I think that's a great question. It will definitely depend on a couple of things. One, how much sort of studying up do you personally want to do with the team? So if you are taking something that is firmly in your comfort zone, great. And maybe you don't have to read up on it so much. But if you dare to take a leap and say, this debate track sounds amazing, and I have no idea how that works, but I will study up on it, then of course it will be a bit more work, not only for you, but probably for the team as well. but maybe you would have then somebody as your track leader in your team that knows a lot about debate, who can then share that knowledge to the rest of the team and you. So there's many ways that it can work. And I think for me personally, the meeting times, so if there were prep meetings or team meetings, those were usually the busiest times. So preparing for it does take time to get everybody together and then work on something together or go over things that we've already worked on, and of course afterwards to double check on things. But the good thing about that is that even though it's time consuming, you can also affect when it's going to be most of the times. So you can work around your own schedule, because as the boss, you have a bit more power in deciding when things are happening.
Great. And Trine, do you have an insight on the topic of time management, time dedication in the role of the hot?
Yeah, well, I have been very hands-on head of track, and I have also been very hands-off head of track, where I trusted the amazing two track leaders to do everything basically on their own. Not saying that that's the way to go. I think finding the balance somewhere there in building the trust within the team, that you can actually delegate tasks and manage the workload beforehand. And if we're talking about being physically in Verbelins, then well, that can be quite exhaustive, but in a very good way. Yeah, I don't know, because as educational team in general, you have a huge role in the sense of making sure that the educational content is being delivered, and preparing for that, preparing flip charts even, or stuff like that. It takes time. But I remember this one time with my team, we had a team meeting in the lake. So we were almost all in the water, and I had my notebook there taking notes. So we had a no splashing rule. But other than that, yeah, finding those little moments, combining team meetings with cooling down in the lake, for example, totally doable. So it's so rewarding afterwards. Yeah, looking.
I think we all copied Trine's team after that. We were having all our team meetings at the lake.
Absolutely, I love that, and especially the fact that you mentioned that the role can be time consuming, it can be challenging. There are different possible obstacles or challenges that you need to look out for, where it's communication with your team, or even just the logistical struggles because of working with different time zones. Of course, it's a little different when you're already on the spot in Verbada, but finding those little moments of joy and finding those little moments of why is it actually worth it, the thing that I'm doing. And this is where I wanted to go in asking you, because this role is a volunteer role, means there is no remuneration for it, and there is some number of hours that as a head of track you need to put in, and also energy and effort that is related or needed for a role that has some supervisory aspect to it. So let me ask you, why? Why is it worth it? Why would you do it? What does it give you? Riikka, I hear you're smiling.
That's true. I was smiling here. Sometimes I wonder that myself. Why why do we do this to ourselves, especially on a day when I might be stressed and the rest of my life is sort of knocking on the door and like bursting in, like things are happening. But then I think it's just so rewarding to be a part of an event of this scale, to go sort of out there to this environment that is all about like being interested in the world, being a citizen of the world, learning about things that you didn't know before, and living together oh, this sounds so cheesy, but living together in harmony. and it fulfills something in me. And of course, the people, you do it for the people, because every time I've been to the Yes, or let's say a YFU event in general, I feel like I meet a lot of old friends and always make some new friends, and I love it. So yeah, the people and the vibes are just very unique.
Love it. Trine, why would you do it?
Oh, I have many reasons. Yeah, food, unfortunately, is not one of them.
I have to say there's a new cook at Weberlinze, so there is hope.
Okay, then maybe in the future the food as well. But yeah, no, it's very much about what Riikka said. Seeing the old friends and making new friends. And when we talk about being physically there in Berlin, I mean, somebody's paying for your trip so you can go and see your friends and spend 5 days with them. I don't see a really much big of a downside. And also, well, I remember I had this this great moment at Yes, when I was still a track leader. Having we were talking about art protest, and they had to present somehow what they've done throughout the previous days during the tracks. And my team decided that they don't want to split up. They want to do something all together and in the plenary. And what they did was a protest art momentum that grew so big that the whole hall of like 500-600 people were chanting all together how we're only free when all of us are free. Because it was about, yeah, like they had their hands taped and mouth taped, and then finally people started taking them off. And yeah, it was I remember standing in the back of the hall, tears in my eyes. I was such a proud mama there. And I think that was the moment where I realized that I just have to go back. I have to keep going back, because yes, it's really, it brings so many people together, and only great things can come out of it.
I would like to continue on that because I think, well, two things. First of all, I must go back sometime, simply for the reason that I've been at the Yes now twice, and both of them have been virtual. So I really need to see this Berbelinse spirit that people have been talking about for so long. And the other reason for it is that I think the Yes is unique in the sense that you can participate in it, you can volunteer for it, even if you've done nothing else in YFU. I mean, it's not a competition of who has the strongest volunteer CV, right, nationally, or something like this. It's quite distanced in a way from everything else you might do in YFU, so it's a perfect place to begin as well. Maybe not the hot role unless you have previous experiences from other organizations or positions that will help you. But definitely there is a role for everybody at the Yes, right?
I love that. We definitely love seeing volunteer applications from anyone, regardless of their status in YFU. Even they don't have to be an exchange student themselves, right? So you did mention that you do not need to have the strongest volunteer CV to apply for different roles at the Yes. If you were, based on your own experience, going to create, let's say, a checklist of requirements or a checklist of skills that an ideal head of track needs. We know that nobody's perfect, nobody's 100% checking every single box. What would be the 2 or 3 skills that you think are the most important? Skills or competences, maybe to make it a little broader. Trine?
I was thinking about what makes this role different than maybe some others. I think resourcefulness is one of those keywords that you're just, ready to march in. Maybe, at some point something happens, but you're ready to react to it and to find a solution in cooperation with others, because you have like this huge support team also around you. And also, I think dedication and passion. Not passion necessarily towards the topic. That's also great, but also like passion about believing what you do, believing in yes, and believing in educational content that your track will deliver, and so on. So that sense of passion.
Amazing. So resourcefulness, dedication, and passion. I love it. Riikka, what would you add to the list?
Actually, I was thinking about the fact that people are very rarely passionate about the basics of something. And when you are confronted with an audience or a group of let's say 16, 17, 18-year-olds, you don't always get to assume that they know that much about the topic beforehand. For example, safety in a digital environment. Somewhat, some of them, sure, but not everybody. So you have to start with the basics anyway, and then gradually go deeper into the more interesting, but also more advanced parts of the topic. So if somebody says to me that they are super passionate about the basics of internet security, I would be probably a bit doubtful of that. So I think passion for things in general is a great attribute in a hot, but I think, yeah, being able to do things that you're not super interested in is also super important for the role. So not only resourcefulness, but also the ability to get things done, even if you're not super interested in them, or even if you're busy, the ability to sort of schedule things in your own life and just get them done because they need to be done and you are responsible for them. So if somebody, for example, struggles a lot with deadlines, the commitment to get this done and the willingness to prioritize this role is then more important. Whereas if you are a person who has, let's say, so many things on your table, so to say, but you are super good at delegating them, then it's all right. You can fit this one in as well.
Gotcha. Well, thank you very much. I think this is so important what you mentioned, especially because the team working on the yes is quite sizable, and we do need to work together well and communicate a lot. There is many dependencies happening within the team. So if I don't deliver this on this time, somebody else's task or role may suffer, or their processes will be delayed. So actually getting things done and being able to communicate about any possible obstacles that are there are so important within the education team, but within the yes team in general. Andrea?
Yes, I would like to add one more thing that I would like to see in a hot at the yes. All the things that the girls mentioned are amazing, but I would also like to see the ability to think outside the box and think big, because we are in a post-pandemic more or less post-pandemic, but still. So we have the ability to change a lot of things, to reinvent ourselves. As you notice, we have given the HOTS a lot of flexibility, a lot of independence. This is not how it used to be before. They were way more bound to certain structures. Now we want to involve them in many of the decisions so that they can use their imagination and their passion as well to do interesting things at the yes, to excite the students and excite all the volunteers as well through their amazing ideas. So don't be afraid to bring your sparkling ideas to the table.
Speaking of sparkling ideas, I wanted to ask you, do you have any interesting ideas related to the theme? Or, well, I did share with you some of the track ideas that the core team has come up with and posted on our website and that accompanies the application. Which of them look the most interesting to you? And if you were going to apply as a hot, which one would you pick? Or maybe it would be something completely different. Ideas, Riikka?
Well, I remember seeing, I think it was called something like Digital Games for Change, which I really like because I'm very into games. But there was also, yeah, the possibilities of digital tools in education or work or private life or making friends. I think there's a lot of ways that you can shape this topic into something really interesting. So I think it's a very, very interesting topic, and thank you for picking it for the core team.
Great. And Trine, what are your thoughts?
Well, I saw virtual leadership, which definitely gave a little sparkle in my eye. And the other one that is absolutely my heart warming topic, sustainable self-leadership, or how to take care of yourself. And doing that, I think today, living in the world we are in today, there are, for example, great apps for meditation or picking up new habits, things like that, that is this great resource that is there to also help you, because we know that the traditional approach of going to a psychiatrist or psychologist might come with long waiting lines and so on, depending on a country. So there are actually more resources that are more accessible to everybody, which is, I think, great and something to be touched upon.
Just to build on that, I think one of the suggestions was also mental health and the digital space. And we all know the toll that social media can take on us if we are not properly educated and aware of those effects and how to counter them. So I would love to see that topic at the ES as well. And the other one that is very dear to me is the digital storytelling. That was also a training that we did 2 years ago. It was one of the last trainings before the pandemic, and it also helps us bring the emotions related to a certain memory out and utilize them to create a impressive video and share that story to the world.
Yes, to be honest, I would love to see every single one of those track ideas happening at the Yes. It is my dream, you know, at some point we could have not 4 tracks, but maybe 10, or I don't know how many ideas there are right now, 12 or even more. So to be able to cover our theme of claiming your digital space from such a comprehensive and holistic side would be lovely, but we are, as usual, restrained by time and capacity and resources. So we will be having the top 4 tracks, most likely, that the HOTS who apply for the role are mostly interested in delivering. Thank you so much, Riikka. Thank you so much, Trine, for joining us today and sharing your experiences with us. I would love to see you at the Yes, whether it's in the role of the HOT or any other role that you might be interested in this year. I would just like to remind everyone who is watching that you can apply until January 10th. So the deadline is soon, but the application is not that long. You can really dedicate a little bit of your time today or tomorrow to click on that link, fill out the application, tell us which track you want to lead, why you want to lead it, and we will be getting back to you shortly. A link to the application accompanies this video wherever you're watching it. So make sure to click on it and make sure to apply and join our team. Thank you all for joining us today.
Can I drop one last cherry on top of that announcement, Marta? Maz. So because the HOTS are part of the core team, as everybody knows, that means you will be joining us to our second prep meeting, which will also happen in person and will happen at the beginning of March in Madrid, which hopefully for many of you is warmer than where you're. I know for some maybe it's cooler, which you're welcoming as well, but that's also something you will be part of if you choose to take on this role.
So it is not to say that you should apply for the role just to travel to Madrid, but it is an added perk to it. Also to get to know the team and to feel the yes spirit months before the actual yes happens in Germany. Thank you.
Thank you so much.